Well, you know what a pain it is to have to bring your car into the shop and then you have to wait for hours, even days for a diagnosis. But our auto man says there are actually some things that you can do to help speed up the process and then get back on the road. Brian Bowersock, West Escondido Auto, joins us now. Brian, thank you so much.
Good morning.
I think everybody assumes that you can just drop off your car and they'll know what to do with it, but that's not always the case, right?
Not always the case. Information when you're having an issue with a car that you can supply to the person that's obviously diagnosed in your car can be often extremely helpful. There are certain things, and sometimes we feel that people kind of withhold information hoping that, well, if I don't tell them this, maybe it'll be a little cheaper to fix my car.
Really?
That's the feeling you get sometimes. There are certain things that a driver of a vehicle can notate, such as when the problem happens. Is it climbing a hill? Is it when the vehicle's cold in the morning? Is it when it's hot? It's been driven 10 miles. There's a lot of things that go into diagnosing a vehicle that help eliminate the long part of time and get you down to being able to diagnose what's wrong with it.
And I think some people, maybe they're a little embarrassed. They don't want to describe the sounds they're hearing, things like that. But that's really important as well.
It's very important because what somebody driving a vehicle all the time hears and is concerned about may not be a noise when a technician gets in a car. He hears another noise and thinks, wow, that's really bad. Maybe I should address that. But that may not even be a concern to the customers. So often what we're trying to do is obviously address what the concern of the consumer is who's driving the vehicle. It's very important.
Right. I guess if you are a driver, you are having these problems, probably a good idea to write things out because sometimes you might forget when you get the car to the facility. I guess another question, should the technician know the right questions to ask you?
Well, the service advisor that's helping you should know the right questions. Often we'll ask, does it happen when the vehicle's cold first thing in the morning? Is it only when it's driven at a certain speed? Does it happen when you've driven up for over 10 miles or 5 miles, climbing hills, things like that? And we notate all that stuff so when the technician does go out to drive the vehicle, they can actually duplicate your actual concern, and therefore it makes it a lot quicker to pinpoint what's going on with the vehicle.
Right, and you mentioned, you can actually say, hey, want to come for a drive with me? I'll show you what the problem is.
Absolutely.
You guys are okay with that?
Absolutely, and usually, especially noises, we'll often do that with the person that drives the vehicle, because once again, one noise may not be a concern to the person driving the vehicle. It may be something else that you don't hear right away. So we often like to try, at least if we're trying to fix the vehicle, quality shops, we'll put the customer in a car with a technician, send them out to drive so they can say, there's a noise right there that I'm concerned about. Therefore, we spend our time addressing that noise and getting them an answer on it.
Right, and bottom line with all this, you're going to get a faster diagnosis, and chances are the problem is going to be fixed and it's going to be cheaper. Well,
the problem that you came in for, absolutely. That way it's fixed and, there's not a bunch of wasted time trying to find it. And we can actually duplicate it. Because a lot of times somebody will bring a vehicle in and they'll say, well, the car does this. Well, when does it do it? I'm not really sure exactly when it does it. We can spend a day driving it. We may not drive it exactly like the person that drives it does, so therefore it never duplicates.
Right.
So it's very frustrating to the driver of the vehicle because we say, well, we've had it for a day, we've driven it 4 or 5 times, we can't get it to do it.
Right. Well, obviously this is great advice and great questions to ask. Some information up there on the screen right now. And Brian, as always, if folks do have car questions for you, they can always drop you an email. We do have all the information on the website. It is sandiego6.com. All you have to do is click on Hot Topics. Brian, thank you again for joining us.
No problem.